is incredibly high. Everyone knows who Nathan Drake is, how he looks, moves, and sounds. PlayStation Vita had to have the memory and processing power, not just to allow us to get Drake right, but the environments as well. As you can see, PlayStation Vita enables us to use advanced rendering techniques like water shaders and dynamic lighting for casting real-time shadows. But we also knew that gameplay was going to be just as important as the visuals. And the PlayStation Vita allowed us to tailor important aspects of Uncharted gameplay for the new platform. For example, Chris is going to alert this enemy deliberately so we can show off how our touch melee system works. Here, instead of using the square button for combat, the entire screen becomes a virtual button. You can just tap the fist icon, or you can touch the enemy directly to take him out. For traversal, we allow players to use traditional controls or touch. Here you can see that Chris is having Drake climb the wall by just using the sticks and buttons. We wanted to make sure that fans of Uncharted could simply pick up the game and play it using controls they were used to. But in places where it made sense, we've incorporated PlayStation Vita controls. So here Chris is using the 6-axis to tilt in the direction he wants Drake to jump. The great thing is, you're not go ahead and jump. There you go. The great thing is you're not locked into one set of controls or the other. You can tap, use the buttons and sticks, or combine the two. We kind of have a motto, play the way you want. Here's another example. While dangling from these ruins, Chris can either use the stick to swing or simply drag his finger across, and Drake will follow. To get across this chasm, same idea. Chris can have Drake jump action style by running and pressing the X button, or he can tap on the ledge and Drake performs a cinematic leap. So while we definitely allow you to play the game the way you want, while developing the game, we began to discover that there were things you could do with the PlayStation Vita that you just couldn't do on a regular console. Along these walls, Chris is using a technique we call painting edges. You just draw your finger across a series of stones and ledges, highlighting the route you want Drake to climb. You're now guiding Drake in a unique and interesting way. Of course, while tapping edges to climb is fun, tapping an enemy to perform a stealth takedown is more fun. For core combat, we return to the controls that make Uncharted so much fun, starting with 2 dual analog sticks. We brought over all of Drake's combat controls, snapping and shooting from cover, over-the-shoulder aiming, blind fire, and so on. All right, let me shut up for a second and let Chris play through this. But again, where it makes sense, we use touch controls to enhance the core combat. So for example, to reload, Chris can just tap the weapon icon, or to pick up a new weapon, he can either tap on its icon or the weapon itself. And now he's got a shotgun. Nice job. Okay, that's our demo. To wrap up, our goal wasn't just to create an authentic Uncharted game, but to create an Uncharted game unique to the PlayStation Vita. We have a lot more to show. We have brought 2 demos with us back in the arcade area, so please stop by and check them both. We've got a lot of features we didn't have time to show you, like the way we're using rear touch and everything else on the PlayStation Vita, so stop by and check it out. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris and John. Looks amazing. Early in our planning stages for PlayStation Vita, our global worldwide studios group identified the opportunity to create what we are calling a social action RPG that will not only get RPG and action fans excited, but that is also directly compatible with PS3. This game is called Ruin. Please welcome Jeff Litchford from Idle Minds and Travis Williams from Sony San Diego.
It's coming up. You have to connect. Hi. Hi, everyone. As Scott said, Ruin is an action-based role-playing game. Our goal with Ruin was to provide the PlayStation Vita players with everything they would expect from an action role-playing game, including multiple character classes, deep advancement, tons of loot, and a lot of experiences that you might not associate with your typical RPGs. And so to do this, we started with combat. So, take it away, Jeff. So to make combat more impactful, we created a dynamic battlefield. So Jeff is playing our Infernal Warrior right now, and as you can see, he's really not about a whole lot of defense, he's all about attacking. So the player attacks through a series of combos. These are very action-oriented sequences and test your reflexes. So you won't be actually pushing, like an X button and waiting for some attacks. These creatures are seriously smashed and battered by some bone-crunching impacts. The player's powerful abilities, they destroy monsters and the environments alike. So it's really an engaging experience on the PlayStation Vita. How you doing? So next, we wanted to forge a competitive connection between the players. So in Ruin, other players are your rivals. A stranger that you've never even met can become your rival. And through your actions, you can help, hinder, or even harm them. And now this is all posted, through the PlayStation Network and social networks like Twitter and Facebook, and also our community site. Where are you going? So for example, here we are currently attacking a lair of one of our rivals. Now this level is indicative of what a rival's lair could look like. Throughout the game, our rival has been building his lair. His choices change the dungeon we have to fight to reach him. As he grows in power, so does his lair and the difficulty of the dungeon that actually protects it. And as Kaz said earlier, the ability to be constantly connected is a critical differentiator for the PlayStation Vita, and especially in Ruin. Events happen in real time. Your ability to quickly react to attacks against your lair are going to reward you with more loot and more experience points. So you want to keep your PlayStation Vita with you at all times, but sometimes you just want to hang out on a couch and play on a big screen. So Ruin will also have a PlayStation 3 SKU that will work seamlessly with the PlayStation Vita version. So we just save Ruin to the cloud and resume on the PS3. So to show you how this works, Jeff is going to save his progress, go over to his PS3, and pick up exactly where we left off. So to recap, Ruin is an impactful combat RPG. You'll forge strong bonds of friendship and rivalry with other players, and you can take this game with you wherever you go, including your living room. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. As we have just seen, PlayStation Vita allows you to continue your gaming experiences on the go or at home, on the big screen, or on the gorgeous OLED screen. Cloud-based saves for instant action on PS3 is a truly unique feature that you can only get on PlayStation. Next to join us on stage is Eric Was, one of our PD directors in San Diego, to talk about another unique experience for PlayStation Vita. One that is from a well-known IP that we had on this stage 2 years ago, ModNation Racers. So take it away, Eric and Brandon.
Thank you, Scott. I'd like to take you all through ModNation Racers for PlayStation Vita. This is an entirely new ModNation experience. It is not a port of ModNation PS3. It is not a port of ModNation PSP. It's entirely new and developed specifically for the PlayStation Vita's unique feature set. Now, during our E3 press conference in 2009, we showed you how to create a fun and beautiful track in just a few minutes. Well, today, we're going to show you how to do it in a much less time using the PlayStation Vita and the talent in Brandon's finger. So, we're going to go ahead and enter draw mode here. And what you're going to see is Brandon's going to touch the front touch panel and instantly just make a spline wherever he wants, however he wants. And we're done. It's that simple. And you can have a lot of fun doing this for days. I've done it for an entire day myself, literally. Probably shouldn't say it with Scott Rohde right here. But the next thing we're going to show that's specific to the PlayStation Vita here is the editor. And Brandon can just move this around and touch the front touch panel wherever he wants and edit the spline. And since we were making a kart track here, we need to bank a turn. So Brandon's using copy mode now and moving it to around the turn. Let's make a jump, Brandon, because you always want to jump on a kart track. And you see he just touches the screen, manipulates the spline however he wants. It's fun, it's intuitive. But I want to really talk about the back touch panel now, because you have this terrain mode where you can just make mountains and lakes out of using both the touch panels. So Brandon's using multiple touch points and touching that back touch panel. And the more he touches it, the higher the mountains get. He can make them wherever he wants. And you see it's nice and easy. You see an icon where your fingers are touching, and it's very intuitive. Additionally, you can touch the front touch panel, and you're going to depress the land and make a nice alpine lake. So this track looks like it's forming relatively nicely, but let's go ahead and add a few paint brushes to it. So go ahead and use the tree brush since we're on an alpine theme here. And you see where Brandon touches the front touch panel again, instantly trees are created. It's that simple. You just put them where you want them to. And let's make it an alpine village. So go ahead and, make some, there we go. So you see you can just have a lot of fun just dressing up the track however you want. One last thing we want to show you before playing this is the lighting source. So with the power of the PlayStation Vita, it's easy to manipulate the lighting, so Brandon can just move it up, daylight, sunset, any mood lighting setting he wants. So he's going to go ahead and start racing the track, and you're going to see as he races the track all the creations and edits that Brandon had made. So as he gets started here, and we're off. You're going to see the bank turn that Brandon had made early on. You're going to see the mountains he created off to the right. You'll see the lake to the left. And it's all just real time based on what he did. Now he's got a jump here, and using the right analog stick on the PlayStation Vita, Brandon's going to go ahead and do a trick. Nicely done there. And you can just go back and forth, edit it all you want. Thanks, Brandon. So we have a ton of great features that we're going to be showing you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So we have a ton of great features that we're going to be sharing with you in the months to come, but before we go, I want to leave you with this. Owners of Mod Nation Racers on the PlayStation Vita will have access to the over 2 million creations of tracks, mods, and karts that have been created by our Mod Nation PS3 community, all available on PlayStation Vita day one. And to show an example of this, here at the arcade and at the E3 booth in the days to come, we have one of the currently top-rated tracks, not the top, but it's up there, rated tracks from our PlayStation 3 community, and you'll be able to enjoy it on PlayStation Vita. So I invite you to check it out. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric and Brandon. We are very proud to show that cross-platform interaction is functioning in many different ways this early in development on the PlayStation Vita. Even though I don't have time to show you everything I'd like to on the stage here tonight, I'd like to point out the PlayStation Vita titles will have many different types of cross-platform functionality with the PS3. For example, Wipeout 2048 will have a unique feature called Crossplay, allowing up to 8 players to compete against each other online using either the PlayStation Vita or the PlayStation 3. And this title will be available at launch, and we'll be showing the cross-play functionality here in the arcade tonight. So that's 3 great ways to connect your PlayStation Vita to your PlayStation 3. Cloud saves, online competition between portable and home consoles, and content sharing. And speaking of content sharing,